We caught a few edits ourselves, but if you could just include yours.
Okay, I think we're ready to go. We'll call the Public Services Meeting Committee to order at 11:02 a.m. And with that, we'll have a roll call in a moment. Now we'll have a roll call.
You gonna change your thumbs up?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Spiz.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Teets.
Here.
McGilvray.
Here.
Dwyer.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes from January 23rd, 2018, moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Teets. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now we'll ask for a motion for the approval of the agenda, moved by Commissioner Berman, supported by Commissioner McGilvray. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Now we'll open it up for public comments. Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll close public comments and move to our regular agenda. And our first item is the Sheriff's Office creation of technical assistant position for HIPAA compliance. And it's moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner McGilvray, and we have Mr. Dale Cunningham. And who's with you, Dale?
Lieutenant Steve Schneider.
Morning,
Steve
Lieutenant.
is in kind of our liaison with IT, and as you know, the county's undertaking a very large project as it relates to HIPAA. Tamika, I don't remember your last name again. Albert. And Mike Tim are on the project, as is many others, risk management, sheriff's office. And so what's happening is that we have to ensure that as it relates to HIPAA guidelines, that everything we do follows those. So, and I'll let Steve go into more detail if you want, but in a nutshell, we have about a third of the county employees work for the sheriff's office. And we have, I forget how many software programs?
We have over 20 software programs, multiple iDrive folders, multiple shared emails and distribution groups, multiple vendors that also have, unfortunately, personal health information of not just inmates, but some employees in them as well. So we have quite a bit going on here that needs to be looked at. And we've determined through the process that it's a good 2,000 hours of work a year to stay on top of that. That's why we requested a technical assistant. And as part of the compliance program, we're actually issued corrective action plans by the committee that says, we've identified this vulnerability, you need to fix it, and this is one of the vulnerabilities. So this particular person will have to manage access to over 1,500 employees, contractors, vendors, and ensure vendors manage their systems appropriately. In addition, there'll have to be periodic reviews so that the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Civil Rights Enforcement doesn't come down on us for a violation. Right. And talking with Tamika and looking into some of the other issues that have happened around the country, some of those enforcement actions have resulted in very large payments by the municipalities, $750,000, $675,000 in fines for not securing that personal health information.
Very good. Commissioners, any questions? Mr. Berman.
And approximately, what's the cost of this role, to add this role?
The standard technical assistant position?
Yeah, I got it right here.
I think it's on
It's I'll get it. It's about $72,000 a year with salary and fringes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Commissioner Jackson.
So this position would be under the administrative function of the sheriff's, within the sheriff's department, or?
Actually, the position will work directly with Lieutenant Schneider, who, excuse me, is assigned to our emergency response division. But he handles most of that, and so this individual, whoever we end up hiring, will work directly with Steve to work directly with Tamika and IT to resolve all these issues. And it's gonna be a long time thing, because we have to self-audit ourselves too. So every year, we're gonna you gotta audit yourself, make sure that you go back through and look at all these employees, all the employees that get removed, if they leave for retirement or quit or whatever. So it's a complicated process.
There's approximately 500, we figured, a year between transfers, people that retire completely or separate completely, people that separate and become PTNEs, new hires, about 500 actions that you have to actually do. It's close to 20 minutes for each one of those, times 500. So all of that has to be managed appropriately. In addition, underneath the area that I control now, I'm responsible for reporting appropriately to the Michigan State Police and FBI all of our crime stats, which we, of course, get audited on every 2 to 3 years by one or the other of the entities. So we have to go through full audits for that, so I'm familiar with that process, and people that work with me are, so we're gonna end up doing the same kind of auditing, the same kind of a process. If Health and Human Services comes in, then we'll just handle it the way we do now. So that's why it's being placed under where I'm at. In addition, I'm in charge of all of IT, so no matter if it's a username, a password, a computer, a laptop, an iPad, whatever, I keep track of all those and make sure that there isn't one out there that we don't know about. So we're already doing that auditing process as well. So it's, the whole thing kind of falls under the same stuff that I've been doing for a while now, ensuring that, everything's working the way it should be.
So our Deputy County Exec Bertolini, he came to us and explained that the PeopleSoft system is going to be replaced. Big IT project. Will this fall up under that project at all? Is that the timing of this as well?
Not necessarily. I mean, it involves, everything involves Active Directory and, your usernames and your passwords and your employee number and all that comes into play. But the problem is that what we're finding is we have people that are receiving emails because of their job function. And those emails may include some personal health information, or they may have access to an iDrive folder that involves that. Then they're transferred because there's a better job at the health department, it pays better, whatever. And they go to the health department. Well, someone has to tell me, because then they shouldn't have access to that iDrive folder or that email, right? But is that always the case? So we need somebody to make sure they're auditing that constantly, going through that process constantly. We know where everybody's at, what they're doing, who should be having access, who should not have access. For example, I'm in charge of the entire iDrive. I'm in charge of everything when it comes to this stuff. And I don't have access to the majority of the iDrive folders. I could, but I don't, because it's not appropriate, because it's not my job role. I don't have access to the shared emails or the distribution groups because it's not my job function. So that's the way it really should be. The best practice now in the country is, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter if it's the sheriff, he doesn't have access to the folder for SIU or for the folder for personal health information over here, because he doesn't do that. So we need to make sure that continues to be the case, and that we know who's in these folders or who has access to the software program, and that the vendors are compliant, because we get new nurses all the time, constantly.
Kind of need to know, right?
Yeah.
It's really just a need to know.
Control.
It's all I need to know, and are they in the right place that they should be?
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Spiz,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Teets,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes, motion carries. Our next item is the Public Services / Animal Control and Sheriff's Office transfer of dispatch services from Animal Control to Sheriff's Office and position deletions and creations. This is moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner McGilvray. And we have Under Sheriff McCabe, Mr. Dale Cunningham, Mr. Mark Newman, Bob Gantz, and the lady?
Sarah Colley, Human
Sarah
Resources.
Colley. Thank you.
Commissioner, has there been a motion yet? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to defer.
We move fast.
I'm going to defer to Director Newman, since we're doing him a favor, and I'll let him explain.
Director Newman.
Thank you, Under Sheriff. We come before you today to request that our dispatch services that we provide at Animal Control be taken over by the sheriff. As it stands right now, the sheriff handles all of our dispatch except for 40 hours a week, and they also handle holidays. So, for continuity and for the best service to the public here, we feel it would be best to have the the total oversight of our dispatch be handled by the sheriff's office.
I personally think it's an excellent move. Excellent move. You got my total support. Any questions? Commissioner Spiz?
A quick question. I know, just going from memory, when we toured the new facility, there was a dispatch
Yes.
location in that facility? Is
Yes.
that just gonna be vacated and everything's gonna move to the dispatch center for the sheriff's office?
Yes, that's correct.
Mm.
Now, we do, now, and also as part of this resolution, there's the deletion of the 2 dispatch positions
Yes.
and the creation of 1 office assistant position. So, when, you know, as you all know, dispatchers do more than just dispatch. They also handle some clerical duties. So we needed a person to still continue those clerical duties. And we followed county policy as far as the movement of the employees. All the employees are going to continue employment with the county, and all their benefits will stay intact.
So the 2 dispatchers are being moved into a different area in the county?
Yes.
And you're replacing those 2 dispatchers. Are those positions filled right now, the dispatchers?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And then you'll fill that position with what classification?
We'll hire somebody in the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a wash financially, right?
Just about a wash. There's a little bit of money that he's making us pay them, but we're good with that.
Well, you worked that out.
We worked it out.
Any other questions? Okay,
I just want to make a
Mr.
comment,
Jackson.
please. The State of the County address, it was a very, very, it was a great presentation. I just wanted to, just commend you on the presentation. At the State of the County address.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Teets,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Spiz,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes. Motion carries. Commissioner Gatz, or, not Commissioner, what's your title? Mayor? Mayor. Okay. Any updates you want to give on your operation over there since the new facility opened?
Great. We're so thankful for that new building. The animals are enjoying their stay there now instead of suffering. They are living in very fancy digs, if you will. We're in the slow period of the year for us, but quickly coming to a stop, and we're gonna be busy again in another few weeks, and everybody's just very thrilled and very happy with our new facility. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Under Sheriff, any updates on the deputy? I understand he's out of state, receiving treatment now?
Deputy Hack has been
Yes.
moved to Colorado to a rehabilitation facility. His wife is out there with him for the first 30 days, and just the other day, he started talking a little bit. So
Great,
it's good news.
great, improvement, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, we have 2 communications for receive and file, moved by Commissioner McGilvery, supported by Commissioner Spiz. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We're going to reopen just for a moment public comments. We have 1 person under public comments. Would you like to come forward? Public comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have 3 minutes. Please identify yourself. Have a seat. I'm opening this up just for you, so you gotta make it quick. No, end of the table, end of the table.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And identify yourself and where you're from.
My name is Sharon Dunbar, 3369 Cherry Blossom in Davison, Michigan.
Well, welcome.
I have 2 elderly people coming, that's why I'm late. They just don't walk. They can't walk.
Do you know which door they're coming in?
Where the metal detectors are.
Okay, we'll get them in. But why don't you start your presentation?
I was hoping the sheriff would be here, but I have already come once, and I don't know if anybody has had a follow-up on my, in correcting.
What's your name?
Sharon Dunbar. In correcting my, my accident report. They said that they gave everybody copies of all the things that I had. I just wrote a review that I was gonna leave with you guys, in regards to.
You've been at a couple of our board meetings, correct?
Just one.
Just one?
That, exactly how, if you were in a court, in a jury, how you would see the evidence stacks up, but the officer that took the accident report was called by the person in the accident, which is a record driver belonging to Oakland County, before the 911 call. They must know each other. When she arrived, I talked to her for about 15 seconds. She did not talk to my passenger, ask him if he's hurt or anything. She went over to the wrecker, talked to him for 20 minutes until my passenger found another ride. I was an Uber driver. I did not know this passenger for more than 3 minutes. She refused to put his name down, to talk to him, to go to his work, call him up, and it is required in the UD-10 accident report that that be done, that his name be on there. I was a police officer for 30 years in Flint and the surrounding areas. I went to the sheriff's department. I went to Pontiac substation. I went all over. They refused to let me inside the inside the bulletproof window to even talk to somebody, to show them my evidence. I have GPS evidence that shows that I was parked when I was hit by the wrecker. After the officer got through with talking to the wrecker, 20 minutes, she came back to me and she said, this wrecker says, you came in his lane and hit him. And I said, I was parked. Well, she says, well, this is what I'm going to do. That's what he said, so that's what I'm going to do. And they wouldn't go and talk to him, so I had another officer from Flint go talk to the passenger so they wouldn't say I had something, that I was doing something. Well, anyways, so we got a side statement from him. Later on, oral statement from him. The GPS from Uber showing how I was hit while I was still parked. They refused to look at any of this. They refused to let me come into their office, sit down and talk to them. The internal affairs person refused to talk to me on the phone, just screamed, where's your evidence, where's your evidence, where's your evidence? He would not let me talk to him about this. I told him it would probably be better if I came in and was able to show him this. No, you can't do that. So all of the police people that I talked to, I tried to talk to the sheriff. They refused to let me talk to the sheriff. They said, you have to make another complaint, even though I had been talking to them now a year and a half. I made another complaint. They said it was assigned to the sheriff, who would assign it to someone. It was assigned to the internal affairs officer, who was one of the people on the list that I was complaining about. Usually when I was in Flint, we didn't assign it to the officer who was being complained about. But that's what happened. And he never made a report because I did a FOIA. He never made a report. I got the 911, it's out in my car, to prove that she talked to him before the 911 call was even put out. The officer that made a report. She made 2 reports. The first one saying that the wrecker was a government vehicle, which it is because it has an X on it and it is stored here on your government property. She changed that after I came to the office to talk to her with this other officer who interviewed the passenger, who she still hadn't talked to. And the other officer started talking to her. She says, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not changing nothing. And then she went in.
Ma'am?
She changed it.
You've exceeded your time, but we'll give you another minute to wrap up, okay?
She just changed it. I'm just going to tell you, she changed it from a government vehicle to commercial, which it's not. It takes, what I assume, it is a government vehicle and it has X and it does your government business. I believe she changed it to show no conflict of interest. That's the only thing that she changed on the accident report. And this has everything on it that happened. The Internal Affairs, this is the first time I've ever heard of getting a complaint and not doing a report. The only report that I got was from Mr. Cross, who says he's a traffic investigator who never came to the scene, would refuse to look at my pictures, my car pictures, refused to see that all of my stuff from my car. He tore off my mirror and the whole front end. They're trying to say that I went to the wrong way because I was trying to figure out where west was. That's why I was parked. They're saying I went to the wrong way, which is east, to hit this wrecker, which I heard coming up And my passenger looked up too, because it was loud. They're saying, as it was going
Ma'am.
by, I decided to go around and hit it.
You know, we understand your concerns, so we appreciate you being here today.
Okay,
but
I'll
you're out of
leave this
time.
with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
And thank you for letting
you.
me
Okay,
talk.
thank you. We're going to close public comments again, and if there's no other business to come before the committee, we're adjourned.